Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video. We're here in Somerville. This is a fire escape that has a roof deck, and I'm going to break it up into 3 parts, and we're going to start with the roof deck. But again, fire escape has 3 options. Mass Building Code requires examination, test, or certification. Right now I cannot certify this fire escape. It has a few things that needs to be done, and then we can either proceed to a load test or proceed to a certification, or proceed to an affidavit with liability disclaimer. So let's talk about just this wood deck. Wood deck here is pre-existing non-conforming. The rails are to a height that we have to confirm whether or not they're going to allow. This is about 30 inches, but should be at least 36. But again, pre-existing non-conforming. City official will let us know. We have some nails popping up, so you're going to have to pop all these nails back in. Make sure you use screws, because a lot of this wood is soft at the end. The decking is 5/4. If the city official wants this to be a minimum of 1.5 inches, you have to add another layer of wood to this, a 5/4. That will make it 1.5 inches. You have to make sure that all your attachments, this is pre-existing, there's 2-line rails here only. Whether there's children here or not, does the city want us to close this up? Again, pre-existing non-conforming and not built to industry standard or code. Do they want 36 here, and do they want us to block this? So sometimes you can even use mesh or something very quick to basically stop anybody from falling through, children in particular. So on this wood deck portion of the fire escape examination, the city official will determine whether or not this is a pre-existing non-conforming issue, and we will need his feedback regards the height of this rail and the fact that there's only 2 lines on this rail, whether or not they want us to close that up, and whether or not they want to double up the decking, which is only 5/4 right now, and into this fire escape right here. Any questions, fire escape engineers? 866-649-0333. Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video, part 2 of the same fire escape here. What we have is a fire escape, I think it's in the 25-year range. We have a lot of original hardware here, but it's all hex head, so that's the indication that this fire escape is fairly new, probably built within the past 25 years. Our only concern here is really, again, similar to a lot of other fire escapes of this age, it's the grading, that these spacers are starting to rust through, as you can see through. So that's when people's feet get stuck in this. So minimally the grading and the treads need to have a reinforcement underneath. The rails, I mean the treads are pretty good, in good order. I mean, we can render an opinion on this through an affidavit, but we would, the biggest liability is these front flats. If they give out, because these are rotted on the inside, there's a lawsuit that comes from these trip hazards and people falling down the stairs. I see no evidence of rust inside these connections, so it looks pretty good. Again, a lot of that is surface rust that you see. But again, grading and treads needs to be reinforced on the treads only, unless an affidavit can be issued as is, and with the liability disclaimer. But the rod here through the building, it looks like it's through bolted here and through bolted there, but see the vinyl head, they've closed up the vinyl, but the verification process of that is necessary. But it looks pretty good from here because it's an indication that it was properly through bolted. All original hardware has been kept painted. Again, all original hardware, but hex head hardware throughout the whole entire fire escape. Fire escape has still got a good paint job on it, but it does need another paint job. It's due. But again, we're getting down to the grading. The grading is showing signs of the through rods, and the spacers are all popping with rust on the inside. So those got to get reinforced so you can get another 5, 10, 15 years out of these gratings. Or at this time, gratings and treads can be replaced, but I don't recommend it. They're in very good order. They're in very good shape. Again, all the connections that I see on this fire escape, there's no rust buildup. I would highly recommend to get more years out of this, that every single joint gets sealed with silicone, because rust jacking is starting to make its way into these connections, and ice jacking will then do this job once you separate. So get silicone on this right away. Tying into the building, easy stuff, you know, just tying up, it's pretty stiff. Treads look in good order, again, except for the spacers that are starting to do, it's, you know, they're starting to get in there, but it's not as bad as some of the other buildings that we've looked at as part of this inspection regime. But you can definitely see, if you put your hand, you can start seeing that the spacers are starting to crack open. But on this one, we can issue an opinion affidavit on this, but again, we would need a disclaimer saying that if anything should occur, that the owner will hold us harmless and defend us from any lawsuits in the future based on that opinion. Okay, so the rest of the fire escape is in good order. Again, more evidence of, you know, the splitting of these spacers and how the water gets in there. And it gets in here through this right here. You know, the water gets in here and starts rotting these things from the inside out. Just a bad design overall. As always, when you get in the feet accumulate all kinds of dirt. You got to get all that dirt cleaned out. You got to silicone shut this, and then you got to tar it with your hand 6 to 8 inches above grade. Just goop tar on that, so that as the snow and the dirt accumulates on this, it's sitting on top of tar, not on top of steel, and that will buy you some more time on these. So we definitely recommend at this time, but it's not required, is that you basically do some preventive maintenance to stop this from eating. As you can see, with this amount of dirt, that nut is starting to be eaten, and that inside nut is starting to be eaten because it's got all kinds of dirt on it. Those things stay moist, and when it's moist, it'll eat your connections. Iron is guaranteed to rust. Now, as part of this, this also needs to be, see all that dirt? That's all wet, moist. You need to tar, you need to get that and tar it 6 to 8 inches above grade. Not required for certification, but recommended for a long-term life of these fire escapes. See? New bolt, tight connection. This is all surface rust. So all you need to do is just make sure you silicone shut the top of these to stop these things from rusting any further. Now we got an exterior stair here that's missing a rail. I'm going to include it as part of this right now, but this stair must have a railing system here, otherwise it's a liability. This is an exterior steel or wooden stair, so this fire escape too must be inspected. You got to make sure it's nice and tight, pound all the nails back in, and this fire escape here can either be replaced with wood, but she's already leaning over, and that's from freeze and thaw. And what you got to do is you got to secure it with metal brackets, you know. Even though you can just throw more nails into this, she's already soft. The whole structure here is soft. So again, whether or not this gets fixed is a city official requirement. They'll tell you whether or not they're including this on this Mass Building Code 1001.3. All exterior steel or wooden stairs must be examined. Otherwise, this is not part of the certification process here. Otherwise, at this time, you can either get a new metal one put in here, which will last a lot longer and sort of be in conjunction with this, or just do a brand new pressure-treated unit back here. Make sure that everything is 2 inches. The deck is 2 inches. The deck on top is 2 inches. The rails, the posts, anything on this is at least 2 inches in all directions minimum, and this will pass for many years to come. Okay. Any questions? Fire escape engineers inspect the summary video. We will also ask the city official to make a determination as to whether or not these porches are going to be considered bridges under Mass Building Code 1001.3, all exterior steel or wooden stairs, bridges, balconies, if this is going to be also included in this examination. At this time, it's not.